Hello, this is Sizwe Podcast. And for almost a year now, we've been trying to reach our community members in Canada in general. We talk about issues that bothers us as women, as a community. And since we also want to encourage our youth to also participate in this podcast, because that is the order of the day. We the oldies, we are trying to learn. So today we decided not to bring any guest, but we will want to know each other and talk about life in general, how life has been to us. And I'm here today. My name is Agnes, and I'll tell you all my names. And I'm here with Patricia.
Yeah, and my name is Patricia, and I'm originally from Zimbabwe.
I am from Ghana, so I was born on a day. I am named according to the day I am born. My name is Ya, Y-A-A. When I moved to Canada, when people ask me, what is your name? And I say, Ya, then they will say, Yeah, I mean, what is your name? So I got frustrated and I chose my baptismal name, which is Agnes. And now in Canada, I go by Agnes. But nobody knows Agnes in Ghana. Let me tell you.
Oh, welcome to Canada, Agnes.
Thank you.
Oh, so right now you are here in Canada. You are known as Agnes.
Yes, yeah, and Agnes by the kids.
As an individual, as you as Agnes, what have you done to get to know yourself?
Honestly, that's a very interesting question because one thing that I when I look back, I realized that I went to boarding school early, and I realized that there were some of my classmates who really knew who they are, and that's shown in the way they dress up, their clothing. And I didn't bloom early. I think I was a late bloomer, so I didn't know much about myself. I only knew me by what people see and talk about. This is who you are, that is what you do. So it took me a long time to know who I am, and it is a journey that I'm gradually beginning to stop myself and say, hey, this thing you are not doing it. And there's something that I do now. I think hitting my 50s. When I'm picking something from the floor, sometimes it takes me 3 attempts. And I have become so aware of that thing that anytime I go to the second one and the thing don't get it my hand, the third one, if you see the way I grab that thing, it's like I'm really fighting with something. And it took me a long time. I still don't understand why every time I'm picking something, especially when I'm picking something from the floor, it takes me 3 attempts. If someone can explain that to me, do you want to read my palm? What's happening? So that is one thing I have known about myself. One thing that I was when I was a child, I was a stammerer,
Mhm.
and I think you can still see it from the way I speak. And so it took me a long time to be able to accept that I am a stammerer, and I get angry most of the time when somebody is challenging me, and then I can't talk. Sometimes like the talking cease.
Mhm.
So gradually, as I got hold of myself, I'm able to stop myself in the middle of that fight, take a breath, and come
Mhm.
again.
Mhm.
Yes. So these are some of the few things I have learned, and I'm applying it, and there are so many things more, if you ask me. And you, Patricia.
Oh, what have I done to get to know
No, yes.
myself? Yeah, I haven't done a lot of work, a lot of inner work,
Mhm.
but now that I'm at that age whereby I can look back and say, if somebody were to ask me who is Patricia, what does Patricia stand for in the world, and I can really say that now I love my own company.
Awesome.
I'm at that stage where I love my own company, where I can sit and say I am enough,
Yes. Oh, that is so
where I
beautiful.
can look and say, look at another person and feel that all I have is love.
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm here to give love, I'm here to be loved, I'm here to face the journey, the life journey, the interest, I have my own interest, I have my children, and I'm taking life as it is right now. I'm like, this is life. It's not, sometimes it's not good,
Yeah.
sometimes it's messy, sometimes, but
This
this
is
is the
it.
journey.
So I think that like that awareness, we are not saying you have to be 50 like us to feel that way. Some people will get it earlier. Some people got fulfilled at 27, others got fulfilled at 40.
Hmm.
For us, we are 50.
Yeah. Please don't tell my age.
And we are loving it. And you know, for me, I tell people my age and I tell them I just want to tell you that it is fun to be 50. It is
Hmm.
fun to be there's this woman at our church, she just turned 80 and
Hmm.
she looks fabulous. And I
Hmm.
went to church, I'm like, you are 80? She said, yeah, don't be scared. You will be there and it will be fine.
Hmm.
Yes, and I really love the way she said, look at me, I'm 80. So it is
Hmm.
not as scary as you think.
As you think, yeah, because with some people age gracefully.
Yes.
So that's what we are striving for, to
Yeah.
age gracefully and to not to have wrinkles.
Oh, we are black.
Yeah, we don't crack.
We
We don't crack, eh?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm looking back. What are your childhood? What's your child's fondest memories? What are those memories that you think were?
You know, my daughter always asks me, did you like being a child? And right away I tell her no. Yes, I never
Wow.
liked my childhood. Honestly, I liked my adulthood so
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I have to go there, I'll be telling you so many things. But one of the fondest memory of being a child was being around my grandmother.
Mm.
Yes, I think there's something around grandmothers that is so, or grandparents that is so
Mm-hmm.
magical, that her name grandmother Nana, and everything that I I recollect links to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I think about mushroom, I remember a day that grandma was cooking or picking mushroom. If I think about crossing the river in a canoe, like everything of my childhood really connects with my grandmother. And with
Mm-hmm.
my writings, those of you who have read my children's books, most of my stories sit around grandmother,
Your
and that is,
grandmother.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
is the fondest memory. I wish one day I'll be a grandmother and I'll be as sweet as her. You know, there's this food called rice porridge. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and every time people cook or I cook my rice
Mm-hmm.
porridge, I am still looking for that smell of my grandmother's
You can
kitchen,
still
of
smell
that
it
kind of,
right
yes,
now.
and
Yes.
I can't get it. You know, she
Mm-hmm.
used to cook it with this local rice. It looks a little bit red and white, like it is not polished rice.
Mm-hmm.
And her, the smell of,
The food.
oh my God, with ideal milk in it,
Yeah. I,
and brown sugar. So
mm-hmm.
like those are the fondest memory of being a child.
That's wonderful.
And
Now
you,
that you talk of your grandmother,
yes,
my grandmother didn't live long,
okay.
but I remember that me and my cousin, she's late now, we were, I would say, her favorites.
Oh,
Because my grandmother was this, she was a herbalist.
uh-huh.
So she would take us to the bush with her and we'll check the herbs and we'll
Look at
be,
that.
yeah,
You
and
should
we'll,
you should practice that.
so always it was me, her, and my cousin, and we'll go to the bush, we'll spend the whole time. But it was soon after, and then the war started,
Oh.
and still I remember the food that she used to make
Ah,
during that time of war. She was the one to cook for the kids, and we were so many.
yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Grandmothers, I don't know how they do
and
it.
soon after our Zimbabwean independence, my grandmother got sick and she passed on. So that time I was very young, but I didn't get to spend time with
Time
her
with
when I
her.
was a little bit older.
No, my grandmother died when I think oh yeah, she died at my adulthood. I think I was around 34 when
Mm-hmm.
she died. And I remember the last few years, but then I was working as a teacher, so I would go to the village often. And
Mm-hmm.
like there are so many silly questions that I ask her. But you know the funny thing, the last time I spoke to her in my village,
Mm-hmm.
now I know what she was suffering. People thought she was getting crazy, but not knowing, when I came here, I realized it was dementia.
Oh yes,
When she
yes,
called a girl's name with a boy's name, then
yes.
she'll see you,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll say funny stories. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like my village, they are almost the whole village are Catholics, and so there's this Catholic priest who will be going around.
Yeah.
And those times that she couldn't go to the church, this man will come and give her communion. One day, the Catholic priest walked into my grandmother's and said, "Hey, you, have you ever, like, do you have a child now?"
Mm-hmm.
And the Catholic priest is like, "Oh, you don't know the other Catholic priest who was coming here to give me the communion had a child. How come you came and you don't have a child?" And it became a talk of the village.
Wow.
That my grandmother is losing, like, she's losing it. Yeah, but gradually, with the last time I spoke to her, the last time before she died, and I went there and I needed some information. I don't know why I needed it, about our family tree.
Yes.
Somebody who was so, like, we thought she was losing it. She was able to trace that information.
Wow.
To tell me where we come from, the number of generations that got to her, and where we moved from.
Oh,
and I
that's wonderful.
cross-checked those informations with the chief of our village, who, like, corroborated most of the information that my grandmother gave me.
Wow.
And I'm like, so by then it was, I think, around 2001. This is around 2000. Yeah, no, 2004. Yeah, yeah, that was around 2004. And then I wrote them in my diary. And when I came here, I went to Ghana in 2012, and I went to visit that chief. He was also around 90 something, because I knew he was going to go any sooner. When I left Ghana, 2013, he died.
Oh.
So I took that diary with me, and then I began to ask him questions based on what my grandmother told me. And most of the information that she told me
was right.
Was right.
Wow.
And I'm like, people thought this one was losing.
Yeah, because we were mistaken by a lot of things growing up. I remember when my grandmother started being sick, I remember that they didn't even take that woman to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because they thought something
There's
happened.
Some supernatural
Yes, something happened to her.
Yes, yeah.
I remember I used to sneak in just to go and look at her. And now that I look back, she had a stroke.
That was a stroke.
That she had a stroke.
It's like me now. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, what that woman was going through was a dementia, and we never knew what was it, and people were just throwing insults.
Yeah, and they were true. They would say, assume things. They would say, oh, she's suffering from this. She needs this. And now that I look back, I'm like, oh my goodness.
So my grandmother has really impacted me, and I don't know, but most of, like, if I think back as a child, it's all the memories go down and hit her food, following her to and like, there's a book I wrote about sleepwalking. I still remember one night when I slept walk all the way to a place that I don't know how I managed to find my way home, and I got home and I was crying. She was the one who woke up and came, and I still remember, like, how she sat at the porch with me, trying to console me, and me, I'm like, I need to still sleepwalk. Because that day, that sleepwalk was fun. Honestly, my favorite song was Lady in Red. And in the sleepwalking, I was dancing with the Lady in Red.
Oh my goodness.
So she really impacted me in so many ways. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hi, if you are just joining us, this is Women to Woman. We are getting to know each other ourselves. We are doing this Sizwe podcast. We invite you to be part of the show. You can tell us your stories. You can bring your products that you are selling. Come and tell us the business that you are making more money, so that we can also join. Today, we decided not to bring a guest, and we are talking about ourselves, so that next time you come here, you can also interview us, or you can add to what we are saying. My name is Agnes. This is Patricia.
This is Patricia. Yeah. And what did you hate as a child? Do you have any things that you like?
Snakes.
Oh.
I grew up in the tropics, and one of my hate pets were snakes. I actually got bitten by a snake.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and even before that, I don't know whether that is what our community put in us to be afraid of it, or I don't know why we grow to hate snakes. And I hated snake so much so that one day I was in a farm with my grandmother, my same grandmother. And by then, I don't know whether at your time, when I was growing up, the school system were twice. You go twice. You go in the morning, and then in the afternoon you come home to eat, and then you go
And
finish.
then you go for sports.
You go for the afternoon one.
Activities,
it was, I think,
yes.
I remember that. And so that day, I think there were no school or something, but I remember I was in my grandmother's garden. The garden, we have a farm and we have a garden. The garden are mostly those ones that are closer to the village. And she will grow this atosodia. Atosodia is like vegetables. So those land that are closer to the community, they grow vegetables. And she was asking me to pick okra. And our okra grows bigger. It's really bigger, not small. Like you can even pick okra. And not knowing I was standing on one of the snake. The snake looked just like the clothes I'm wearing today. That is the color.
Wow.
And so I felt a bite, and that bite felt like if you have ever been bitten by an ant. It's like, so I felt a bite at the side of my feet. Another bite. Then in my head, I was still picking the okra. Hey, am I standing in ant trail? That's what I said.
Yeah.
And when I looked down,
and this is
oh my goodness! I ran, and the funny thing, I ran and left my grandmother in the farm without telling her what has happened.
Wow.
I ran through the bush, not on the path that leads to. I ran through, like, you know how when you say an adrenaline, I ran through the bush where there was no way to go back home.
Yeah.
And I found myself at the village dunghill where they throw garbage. So there was a woman who was coming to throw garbage, and I told her a snake has bitten me. And she said, "Why are you running?" And I just ran past her. So the funny thing is, I went home. There was nobody at home. I ran to my father's friend's house, and I told him, and he drove me out of the village to the next town to a clinic. My grandmother thought I am lost. Somebody has stolen me. You understand?
Yeah.
Because she called,
and she couldn't
find me. She found my shoes, and she walked the path asking everybody, "Where is Ya? Did you see Ya?" And she came to the village. I was not there.
Wow.
Until
later
that
scary.
Just one snake bite.
Wow.
Yeah. So my hate pets as a child, and I think I'm still afraid of snakes. Like now, if I go home and I'm going to the farm, I wear the longest
boots.
Yeah. They call it Wellington boot. I don't know how they call it here. Like I wear the longest, tie my pants in it and tie it just so no snake will come close to me. Yeah, that was mine.
Oh, wow.
And yours?
What did I hate as a child? At first I used to live in the village, and my mom had 9 kids. We were 9. We were a big family.
Wow.
And one day they decided, my uncle got married, and they decided, okay, the wife now is living alone. Let's at least take one child to go and stay with her. And guess who they picked?
You.
Oh my goodness.
And you didn't want to.
Oh my God. I didn't
want to leave your mom.
No, I didn't want to leave my mom. I didn't. And I think that was the hardest thing that I had to deal with as an adult, because when I was young, I didn't look at it as going there to help my aunt. I was like,
why would they take me?
Why pick me? From all.
And like those times, you don't have any voice, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
you didn't even have the words to describe the feeling of isolation. Yes. Now my daughter will say, I feel social anxiety. Like they have all the words to describe the feelings that were going on. But you didn't.
And I couldn't even say no. Now I had to move from my family, where I had my siblings, where I had my mom and dad. Though it was a walking distance, my auntie was a very good woman.
But you felt lonely.
I felt lonely.
They always say, like, you can be in the midst of men and still feel lonely. Yes.
And I felt like, why pick me? Is it because I'm not of any value? I was the fourth born. I'm the fourth born. So I was like,
Maybe they wanted to get rid of me.
yeah. I really hated that.
Oh,
And then later my aunt joined us at my uncle's place. And so, but yeah, that's one thing that I always,
did you ever get a chance to discuss that with your mom?
now I've discussed it with her that I felt I
Uh-huh.
wasn't wanted. And because of that, I lost my bond with my mom.
Yes.
Because now I had to move anything that I needed. Now I had to tell my aunt. They will say, "Okay, tell your aunt she's your mom now."
She's the one you are staying with.
Yeah, she's your mom now.
Then I'm like, no.
No, and then I'll go if my father was there and they have other things. I'll go to my family, to my mom, and they'll say, "What
Why
is
don't
she
you
doing
go? Yeah,
there?"
oh, why don't you go sit with your? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and we're all kids, and that's one thing that I don't want any child to go through.
No.
Because it was a culture. They would just say, "Go and stay with your aunt. She's
Yes.
alone.
Yeah.
She's lonely." But
Why pick
it's
me?
not good. Don't do it to kids.
No, you know today's kids, they will tell you.
No,
They
I'm
will,
not
yeah,
going.
they really have the words to describe
Mhm.
every and yeah, that is the beauty of the children, the children that we are having. Like
Mhm.
those times you didn't have a voice.
And
Like
yeah,
you go.
you
Even
go.
if you say you don't like to stay, who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Just go.
Yeah,
Even
that
if
is the
you cry,
family
and then
decision.
they'll say, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Just go." And
Just
then
go.
yeah, and
Yeah, so you
then
have no emotions, you have no feelings, you
you have
cannot
no say
you
in
have no say
anything.
in whatever they do
Oh,
to you. That yeah, honestly.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
Well, but my aunt was a very nice
Oh my
woman. Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, what question do you have?
Oh my goodness. Now that we are an older woman, we are a mother.
Yes,
Very soon you might be a grandmother. But anyway,
I'm looking forward to that.
you look already.
No, but I'm, yeah, I'm old.
Yeah.
My kids should, if you are listening to me, I'm really waiting for my grandkids right now. Please.
Okay, so now, how have your life experiences like shaped you to be the woman that you are today?
Yeah, there are so many things that has really impacted me. I think I used to watch this Criminal Minds when I came here. It was one of my
Mm.
favorite shows. And there was one time there was a show I don't remember, but there's something that one of the guys said that whatever has whatever that you have gone through, you can use that lessons to define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really resonated with me when I listened to him because there was this guy who have really done bad stuff, and in his last days he was talking about how his childhood was like and why. So those things I listened to the guy and I'm like, right, I there are so many things that happened to me as a child, but few things that has really shaped me is this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like hating people to the nonsense point. I don't know. That is how I put it. You can offend me, honestly, and I can go crazy and wild, and the way I will behave, you will never like me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I try to let it go
Mm-hmm.
so fast because so many things in my family that certain members of my family held on so much to hatred
Mm-hmm.
that didn't do them good, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw the end result of it.
Yes.
And I don't want to, like, in even in our pastors, they always say don't be don't perpetuate that kind of thing in the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it is a conscious thing I do in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you offend me, prepare for fight.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare to see a crazy woman. But as fiercely as I fight, I do that same thing to forget about it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to let us go on.
Mm-hmm.
I really so much don't want to keep any body in my heart that this guy, I hate him. No, it is something that I saw happening in my family that didn't end up well, and I have taken so much lesson out of it. When I went to secondary school, I used to have this friend, and it was the beginning of how I was learning to regulate that kind of hatred. So she did something as of today. I don't even know what she did. But you know me, I talk, 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 talk. Every time she will come close, I'll remind her. Then one day she said, yeah, I think I would Musa. And it means, yeah, why do you extend issues to this level? She just asked the question, but
Yes.
it really hits me. And since then, I began it has not been a straight path. Sometimes I feel flat. Sometimes I manage it a little bit, but it has been a conscious effort to say that I choose to be different from those lessons that I learned in my family. I don't want to live with bitterness. I don't want to hate people to a point where it becomes a snare or a disease. Yes, so it is one of the things that I consciously go by every day.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, I can. So many things happen in our lives,
Yes.
So sometimes I look back. For the longest time, I would remember the people like I remember being bullied at school, especially when I was in the village. And these people were my relatives. At that time I didn't realize that it was bullying.
Yeah.
But
you didn't
now
even
I
have the
look
word
back, I
for
was
it.
like, oh, now I know what it was.
Yes.
But at the same time, now I'm looking back at everything that has happened in my life, the disappointments, the snubbing, everything that has happened. I think right now I would say everything happened to prepare me to be the woman that I am today.
Yes. Awesome.
Because I'm thinking God uses all our experiences.
Yes.
Because every experience, now that I look back, what did I gain from that experience? There are some things that happened that I made me vow that I am never going to make that person feel this way, another human being feel this way.
No.
Or there is something that was said that you are like, really, how could a human being say something?
Yes.
And it will snap you right.
Oh yeah. For me, it gives me hot flashes.
So right now I'm like, all the experiences, all the disappointments, all the backbiting, they prepared me to be the woman that I am today. And sometimes all the rejections, they make me stronger.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes, because even God says He uses everything for our good.
For our good,
And
yes.
now that I look back, I was like, oh, that's the reason this happened.
Oh yes.
So that I could be stronger. Now
Yes.
when I look at things, when people do things, I forgive them.
Yes, yes. I think you said that, and it reminded me of one thing. When I was in Ghana, I used to work part-time as a radio host, and then there was this job that was available in another radio station, well-renowned radio station in Ghana, and I went for the interview, and I knew I had the job. I didn't get the job. Honestly, it was one of the worst moments. I cried every day when I put the radio on and I'm listening to the very person that they took instead of me. But when I look back today, do you know, I always say thank you.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, God, that I didn't get that job, because if I had gotten that job, there was no way I was going to travel, because that was what I wanted. That radio job was my pick. So I wouldn't have any desire to travel. I think a year and a half after, I traveled out of Ghana. And the experiences that I have gained throughout the years that I've been out of Ghana, and even now doing the very job that I thought when I go to that radio station I will do, and the tools that I have to do it even better, I look back and I say that if I had gotten that job, yes, it would have made me feel big. I would walk on top of people's head. If you call my name, I'll do like this.
Oh my
But
goodness.
then the richness of experience, I wouldn't have had it the way I have it at the tip of my finger, that I can put thousands of kids in a room and I can make them kids or whatever. So at that time it was children's program and I knew I love it, but I didn't have the tools.
You didn't have the
I didn't have the tools to even create games. I didn't have the tools to how to wrap their attention. I didn't have the tools of how to make them see who they are. It was just the job and the fact that it was a radio station job. That's really what I was going for, but I didn't have. But the experiences that I have had over the years, right now, if I go back, I don't even want to work in that radio station.
Yes,
Because I can stand in the middle of the street, and when I say Jack, I can have millions of kids come, and I know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because some things we don't get them because God, if you believe in God, or some people will say the universe knows that you are not ready.
Yes, yes. For me, that one thing alone, how much I grieved, my sister. By then, you know that I don't know whether in Zimbabwe it was there, the phone booth where you take phone card and put it in a, yeah. So during the time that I was grieving the loss of that job, every dawn there was this guy who used to do a radio morning show. I would take my phone card, walk from my room 4 a.m., go to the phone booth and call that guy and tell him how much I am really grieving.
Wow.
And I couldn't.
You really wanted that job.
I wanted that job so much.
Oh my.
Honestly. But I remember the last job that the last show I did, it was it was a radio station, and then the kids became so large that one day we decided to do an event. My sister, we sold tickets so much that we rented a hotel, the grounds of the hotel, and it filled up. And some of the kids were outside who have already bought the tickets, and I saw a sea of kids.
Wow.
And and those kids outside who couldn't get in started, like, they were so embittered, angry, and I got angry at them, and I fought with every kid.
The very people that you wanted to help. Oh my goodness.
And so this time around, when I look back, and I'm like, wow, what did I do that for? But right now, I think those kids who are listening to me now know Miss Agnes is crazy. Yeah. But right now, I have so much tools that I didn't have that day, that I could have even assured those kids that, don't worry, you go next week, I'll do another show. And so long as it's, and they used to call me Auntie Ya. So long as it was Auntie Ya who was doing that show, they would have come. Yes.
Yeah. And during all that time, you developed certain habits.
Yes.
What's the one habit, good or bad, that you developed?
Screaming. I think I don't want to hide. My kids, the kids who come to our programs, they only know Miss Agnes screams. You know what? One day there was this girl, the sister brought them. And the sister loved to come to the program so much. And I think that was the first time the sister brought the girl and the brother in our garden. And you know me, I was just going and screaming. She went to the sister and said, what does she do? She's asking the sister, how come she's just going around screaming at everybody and she doesn't even speak and ask? The sister came to me and said, Miss Agnes, you remember, come and listen to. But that girl, since then, always come to the program. Every time the sister would tell, oh, Miss Agnes says we have a program. I said, is there going to be food? I'm going.
And is she going to be screaming? I'm going for the screaming.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know how, or maybe because I am a teacher, I think the screaming is my project now. I'm working on it.
Yeah, you're working on it. Yeah. 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 We are only a work in progress. So.
Yes. But I
So,
love me, honestly.
mhm,
Like I told you, I love my adults where I can take a decision of where I want to sleep, what I want to eat,
mhm,
where I
mhm.
want to go if I want to, than when I was a child. Honestly, when I was a child, I didn't have a voice, and I don't like that. And I don't like that for me, and I don't like that for my children.
When I was a child, I was very quiet.
Oh,
People will
no,
say,
no, me, I was very.
I don't talk. They will say Patricia doesn't talk. But now I've gotten my voice.
Yes,
There's so many things that I didn't say that I was supposed to say. There's so many times when I had to stand up for myself
that you didn't.
that I didn't. And I look back, I'm like, I don't want to be that woman again.
No, no, that one
I
is
don't
true.
want
Yes,
to lose my voice.
yes.
And right now there's some things I'm like, when I tell my mom is like, why didn't you tell me that? And I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yes. So it's like she would have done something about it,
Yeah.
but she herself also didn't know.
Didn't know, and I
Yes.
didn't say anything, and I was very, very quiet. And
Mm.
later, when I moved from my aunt's place, I lived with my dad. Now I was living with men, and there was no woman around
Yeah.
me. And also, I couldn't tell men my problems.
No.
So
Oh my God.
that's why sometimes now that I'm a mother, I'm like, I cannot let my kids go and
Oh
live
yeah,
with,
yeah, it's true.
yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah, there are so many things that for me, I think I always say it will end on my generation.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes, it will. It is.
exactly.
And I make a conscious
It's called
effort.
decision,
There are
yes.
people who disagree with me, like even when I'm going through challenges with my kids, and I hear ideas, and I know that idea impacted me as a child. I tell myself I won't choose this
Yes,
because I want this to stop on my
because you know
generation.
how it felt.
Yes, yes,
Because it's something for somebody to do something to you, and it's something for something to make you feel some type of way.
yes.
Yeah, and that feeling doesn't go away.
It doesn't go. It's even like even the smell. Like
Mhm.
one time, my aunt called me and she there was an argument at home, and she called me and she was asking me, and some of the questions that she was asking me really took me back.
Mhm.
And I told her, even as I tell you this, the smell of how the place smelled like when this incident
It
happened.
happened.
Yeah,
I still
get
have
it.
it. Mhm.
Yes, and she was like, "Whoa, we are not talking about." I said, "Yeah, I think we have to end it here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has to stop
it
here.
has to stop here." And I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like even like you said, there are certain things I didn't have the voice, but
Mhm.
now I don't want the next generation
To
to
go
have it.
through
Yeah,
that.
to go.
Yes,
No,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no.
So yeah, and right now there's so much we can talk about. We have gone through so much, and we are counting down. We're not even counting up in years, eh?
No, oh no, no. Right now we are counting down,
We're
and
counting
if
down.
God give us
So
40 more or 50 more, I wouldn't look so fresh like this, right?
yeah, no way. But yeah, we've had our experiences, and
Yes.
we would love to hear your experiences. Life is a journey. We enjoying life. We've struggled. We've been through it all.
So
So
much.
this is life.
Yes. Is there anything more so we can?
Mm, yeah, there's so much more, but then we can talk until morning. You know that.
I think there was one question that you were asking me, like, is there somebody like the way words that people say or things that people did that really have lived or stayed with you for long? And I think that is one thing that I want to touch on before maybe if we will bring the curtain to a close. And there's this cliche. It is because they say people don't care what you say, but how you made them.
They will remember
They'll
how you
remember
made
how
them
you
feel.
made them feel. And I think for me, there are so many people who have really impacted me in the way they made me feel. They include people, they include places, they include so many things. And I would say, for one, that I have had very great friends who have really impacted me in so many ways. The interesting thing is, my three children, when I was having them, I was at the university. The 4 year span of my first degree, I had three kids.
Wow.
Yes,
That's something.
yeah. So I had my firstborn when I was almost finishing the second semester in the first year. I had my second born when I was doing my project work in the third year, and I went home with a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And in this journey, there were no family members close.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who participated in that kind of crazy lifestyle with me, school, and our friends.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one particular woman among all these friends that my children called grandma
Mm-hmm.
for no reason. Because when Kobe started, my firstborn, so after when I was in second year,
Mm-hmm.
I gave birth to him in June when we were
Mm-hmm.
finishing the first year. And I brought him back to school in September when he was about 3 months.
Wow.
Yes, so everybody that he knew were people on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this particular woman who always said, yeah, you are going to be great. Don't worry about what you are going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they were just words.
Mm-hmm.
But I took it. And every time I am in a deep, dark trenches of depression or pain or disappointment, I'm like, oh,
You remember you're going to be great.
I'm going to be great.
Yes.
And she has really impacted me so much so that she has become part of my family.
Oh,
Yes.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. You know, for me, I remember, you know, there is, after I had my firstborn, like this lady, I won't even say because she's still alive. I don't want
Yes,
to.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And she said something to me that made me know that I will be a better person when I grow up.
Yes.
Because she looked at me, she looked at my background, and she looked at me and made me feel very small. And I said to myself, this woman doesn't know me.
Very good.
I am not a product of my
mistakes.
of my
No.
mistakes, and I'm not going to be what my parents are. I am my own individual.
Yes.
And I am going to show this woman who I'm going to become.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
awesome.
it has always driven me that no matter what people think you are, no matter where people think you come from, you can always do better.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, oh,
No,
this woman, she
yes.
doesn't know me.
I remember one time there I was talking to one chap here, and I told him, he was telling me what he's going through, and I told him, you know what, when I was growing up, I was really a troubled child.
Mm-hmm.
I was causing trouble to everybody, and I was causing trouble to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was really restless. But there was one thing that every time people read my history, for example, if you come to my house and then I'm sitting in the corner crying, and you mistakenly ask what is wrong with Ya, they will read my history to you, that you will feel like if they are beating me with sticks, you will go with blocks to beat me. That is how bad I was.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are reading my history to people, and that person is looking at me so disdainfully, I tell my heart, I will prove you wrong.
Exactly.
And I don't know where I got that,
Mm-hmm.
but that word became silently in my soul, that every time you say something bad about me, I say to myself, I will prove you wrong.
Yeah, we used to always strive to be better.
Yes, I did it. Yeah, I cut short my Christmas dress.
Yeah.
I scraped my eyebrows.
Yeah, because really,
I ate all the Christmas candies even before they began sharing it. That was not me.
That wasn't you. That wasn't you. That was a process. And maybe you needed to go through that.
I needed it, and I used to say it in my heart. So I told that boy, they are saying that, but prove them wrong.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yes, and I kept saying it. I remember one time I was sitting in front of my headmaster, and he told me all the things that the other teacher came to report to. Say, so give me one reason why I shouldn't sack you out of this school. I couldn't say anything because I know all that he was saying was right, but I told myself,
mm-hmm,
I will prove you wrong.
Yes, I'll prove you wrong,
Yes.
and I'll become a better person.
Yes.
Exactly. So
we pulled through. Hey!
Okay, so we are coming to a close. There's so much we can talk about. So
We'll see you next week. I love this.
you love this,
Yeah,
eh?
let's do it again.
Okay, so okay, see you next time,
See
ladies.
ya. Thank you
Bye.
so much. Wow.